Hi, I should be live. Hi, this is Sarah. I'm a story coach and welcome back. Welcome to day 3 of Week of the Grief. We're exploring writing prompts to write in, about, around, and through grief all week. If you're not already part of the group, you can click below to join. We are going to get daily recaps and resources and an instant replay of the videos here. This is a free inspirational writing prompt series that I'm doing because I love writing. I love inspiring people to write. I love helping people write stories that matter. And grief is one of my favorite topics. And I've written a few stories that explore my own experiences with grief. And I've found that by digging down into my grief and making space for it, there are really incredible stories that come through. So I hope you're having a great time with the writing this week. Quick disclaimer, this is not mental health. I'm not a mental health professional. If you find that any of the writing or any of the prompts that we're doing are bringing you to uncomfortable places or it's too heavy, please stop and talk to someone that you trust and seek some help. This is a place where we are exploring as writers and artists through our grief and our personal stories. And now for the reclaimer. We are writing by hand in here. That's the additional challenge for Week of the Grief. Writing by hand, a very, very human act to deal with very, very human feelings and stories. And the grief stories that we have and the things that we are writing about are ours to tell, and you're the only one who can tell your story. So encouraging you to keep going this week. If you haven't already, check out day 1 and day 2. We took a quick, fast and furious jump into a list of exploring all the things that we have lost in recent days, weeks, months, as well as looking at that historically. Yesterday, we played with 3 poetry forms to explore how containing is actually a really great way to explore our creativity and allow our grief to be in a safe space. So that's where we're coming from. And if you haven't done any of that work, that's fine too. Join in and start fresh. Start with us. Just grab a notebook and a pen and jump in with us. And what I want to just quickly go over today is how similar grief feels to me to feeling creatively stuck, or what I used to call writer's block. And I will share links and resources and things on the recap page. If you're part of the group, you'll get that later. But there's a list that I saw that was describing some common symptoms of grief. Feeling lethargic, a lack of energy, procrastination, lack of motivation and interest, a change of sleeping patterns, sleep disruption, not being able to go to sleep on time or wake up on time, insomnia, changes in eating habits, increased susceptibility to illness, irritability, scattered attention or less attention and interest to for our healthy behaviors, and perseverating, or like kind of like a chattery mind. I know I was having a really chattery mind last night. It was hard to sleep last night for some reason. I think when I start to explore grief and some of these more difficult feelings that I might have been pushing away for a long time, there's energy that can come through. And in that energy is also creative energy. I believe there's a lot of fodder, there's stuff to work with in there. And if I don't attach too much to the story, I can actually use that energy. It can be hard on the other side of that, feeling lethargic, but even that lethargy has a character or a style, maybe can engage in some kind of dialogue, perhaps. Maybe the lethargy has a voice. So, what I'm suggesting is that there are creative pockets in these stuck feelings, difficult feelings, anxious feelings. And of course, grief can feel really different for everybody, and there's different stages of it for everybody. But I was just kind of looking at how feeling stuck creatively and some of the symptoms of grief really do have a lot in common. So I hope that you're taking extra good care of yourself this week, giving yourself lots of extra rest, keeping yourself snuggled up, being gentle to yourself, not just this week because of grief, but at all times as a creative person, as a human. And we are approaching it's that time of year as the veil gets thinner and thinner between this world and the next world, where many people believe that it's possible to hear messages from the other side, or just the closeness, feeling close to those who have passed or ancestors. We can communicate across that veil. And what that makes me think about is being just on one side of the letting go process and not yet wanting to let go. And maybe the letting go doesn't necessarily have to happen all at once in such a black and white way. Perhaps by staying in touch or communicating with people, places, and things that we've let go of, perhaps that communication can be an ongoing relationship. And many people do that, of course. They have photos of their ancestors or telling stories of folks who have passed. And what we want to start off with today, and as a jumping off place for the inspiration for writing today, I'm going to share my screen. If you already have the download, then you got a sneak peek of what we're doing today already. But where we're starting today is with a letter. So in the spirit of staying in touch with and having a relationship with pick one particular person, place, or thing that was on your list from Monday, or just what feels most alive today. Something or someone that you are letting go of. But we don't have to necessarily let go all at once. How about exploring that relationship through writing a letter to that person, place, or thing? And I would encourage you to consider saying thank you in the letter, making thank you be a prompt for this letter. So you can start, dear so-and-so, or to my childhood innocence, whatever that thing is that you're writing a letter to. And see if thank you can be a prompt inside that letter. So we'll go for a few minutes right now and start your letter now. And take a moment to wrap up your final thoughts. And make sure to sign your letter. Great. Of course, there's no need to send this letter. And on Friday, I'll talk a little bit about just ideas of what we can do with some of this writing if we're not sending it, sending letters or anything. Of course, you are absolutely welcome to come to the open mic. That's tomorrow night, Thursday night, 8 p.m. Pacific, and share any of your writing that's coming from Week of the Grief, any original writing in any form, character study, dialogue, even comedy, whatever is coming out for you. The open mic will be the information I'll share through the group. So again, if you haven't already signed up, please do join us, and then you'll get emailed all the information for the open mic, and you can share in a little community some of the writing that's coming out of this week. So that's one idea where you can bring your letter or any of your poems or any of the work that we do today or tomorrow. Okay, so moving on to our next prompt, non-dominant. What does this mean? Non-dominant handwriting. If you, well, I'll say for me, when thinking about letting go and writing in and about and through grief, one of the stuck places, one of the difficult places comes up when I don't want to let go. And if I'm honest, I know that that's because I have fear. I'm afraid of letting go. And that fear can take a lot of different forms, maybe 100. And without pushing or trying to make that fear go away, trying to make that fear change, something that we can do as a writing prompt is actually explore that fear, allow that to come in and come through. So if you feel complete from your letter, whether that was a person, place, or thing that you were writing to, if you feel complete, you can pick something new. Or you can just pick fear in general. Or alternatively, if you still feel like there's something really stuck and alive and worth exploring regarding the person, place, or thing that you wrote your letter to, you can continue exploring there as well. The idea here is to hold your pen in your non-dominant hand, and this will be difficult on purpose. This might be one of our more difficult prompts for this week. Writing with the wrong hand. And for some people, it's really difficult. It can make me feel like a child again. And that's that I can use that to my advantage. So creatively, what am I doing here? I'm going to have to probably be more efficient with my word choice, and it's going to take a lot of concentration. But the writing prompt that I'm suggesting with our non-dominant hand is, I am still afraid of. I am still afraid of. And see where that takes you with your non-dominant hand. So go ahead and explore that for a few minutes now. I am still afraid of. and take a minute to wrap up. Mm. If you're feeling uncomfortable, you're doing it right. So, the last prompt here is shadow. And there is a whole field of work dedicated to working with the shadow, and I'm not an expert in it. But one way that I know about the shadow and how it plays in to grief and fear and letting go and not letting go is the thing that I push away, push against, try to push to the side or deny, run away from. That thing will get stronger and stronger. What I resist persists. And that part of me is part of me, even if I'm pushing it to the side or denying it. So today's exploration so far has been about getting closer and closer to fear of letting go, fears of fears that are deeply held. And the writing prompt for this part here about the shadow, it could be it can be wide open for you if there's something that really wants to come through right now in terms of fear, something that wants to make itself known, some wisdom that wants to come through. Please take that and run with that. If you're looking for a prompt, what I'm thinking of is, if I'm okay with this fear, what can I learn? Or when I make space for this fear, what happens? This is about making a little bit of room for the shadow to come in. Maybe the shadow can talk to us. That part that we push down, push to the side, and try not to let out. What if we let that part speak? Letting the shadow come through. And that could be in the form of fear. So if I'm okay with being afraid, if I'm okay with this fear, what can I learn? Or if I make space for this fear, what happens? And take that as a writing prompt for a few minutes and go. wrap up your last line. Ooh, yeah. Oh, ah. Terrific. That was day 3 of Week of the Grief, taking a couple of different perspectives on fear and letting go. We're going to do a few more perspective shifts tomorrow and look even more closely at the process of letting go, creeping closer and closer to that letting go, and just slowing down that process and seeing, what does it feel like? Maybe I don't want to let go, and exploring that. What is really there? What's going on? I hope that you're finding this useful and helpful. I hope that you're enjoying writing by hand. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I love talking to people about their writing. Please consider being part of the open mic tomorrow night. And until tomorrow, write on. See you then. Please consider being part of the open mic tomorrow night. And